Should the Formula One races in the United States of America in 2026 be cancelled? This is the question that I got from my friend yesterday, and I thought that instead of just us, the two of us, having that conversation, I thought it might be probably better to bring that question here. I'm sure that you have an opinion, a perspective of how you would be able to approach this after you hear where my friend was coming from. And at first, I must confess that I didn't understand his line of thinking or where he was coming from or how he was approaching this particular issue. And I got to better understand it when he mentioned it to me. And I want to do the same to you. I want to give you the context, and then from there, you can probably be able to make up your mind or at least form an opinion, and hopefully you are going to share that with me in the comment section below. The reason why my friend was asking that was, if you remember, in 2022, Formula One cancelled the Russian Grand Prix, and the reason for that was that Russia had gotten involved in a situation with Ukraine. And so, in that particular year, the Russian Grand Prix in Sochi was actually cancelled, and the contract terminated with, the organizers of Formula One racing in Russia. And my friend was wondering whether there is any difference between that particular situation where Russia was involved with Ukraine and the current situation where United States is involved with Iraq. Both those situations to him looked the same, or at least they are, of the same nature. And so his question, or what he was wondering about, is why then was there a situation that forced the termination of the Russian Grand Prix, and why wouldn't the Formula One also cancel the races in the United States, which are, to him, are almost similar stories? And of course, I know that, people are going to see it in different sides when it comes to this. There are people who are going to argue that, the Russia-Ukraine situation is different from the US-Iran situation. But I would want to find out from you, what do you think? Do you think that Formula One is treating certain countries differently than other countries? Because if, in principle, Formula One is saying that it doesn't go to races or it doesn't go to countries that kind of start a situation with other countries, then it would follow that the same treatment they gave to Russia is the same treatment they would give to the United States. But of course, I would not probably expect that the Miami Grand Prix, the Las Vegas Grand Prix, or the Grand Prix in Austin would be cancelled. But probably this is a good topic. It's probably something that is worth thinking about, probably looking at whether Formula One as a sport is even a fair sport, because if you can cancel one race because of a situation and not cancel another because of a similar situation, well, that leaves a lot of unanswered questions. If this is the first time that you and I are meeting, I am Joe, and on this YouTube channel, I talk about Formula One and the business of Formula One, and I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. Formula One is a global sport and is a global business, which means that it doesn't, live in isolation. It gets affected by geopolitical things and economic things that are happening everywhere in the world. And that's why this particular situation in Middle East that involves United States and Iran is also affecting Formula One today. There are, conversations that probably the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix are going to be cancelled because, again, of the situation that is ongoing. At the same time, we have seen, the crude oil prices increasing. And what you might not understand is that higher oil prices also affect Formula One directly and indirectly when you consider that Formula One also consumes fuel, as well as when it comes to the logistics of moving Formula One. So you can clearly see that this particular situation is also affecting Formula One. And beyond that, you should also remember that it involves, people who are in Iran who probably are going through a situation that is not necessarily of their own making. And it is hoped that this particular situation will come to an end very soon, because a prolonged kind of or escalation of this situation is going to have a lot of unintended consequences, both at human level as well as at commercial or business level, because a lot of things are going to be disrupted. Increasing crude oil prices is going to have an impact on the financial markets. It's going to probably have an impact on inflation, which means the cost of living for you and I is also going to become a little bit higher, or things are going to become a little bit tougher if this particular situation continues. And I hope now you can be able to appreciate what my friend was asking. He probably was looking at Russia versus Ukraine and US versus Iran as not two separate situations, but as one situation or one similar situation where probably rules could be applied to both at the same level. Of course, that's not a decision for me or you probably to make, and it will be very interesting to see whether that even comes up at all, because that would be, hilarious. Of course, it would be bad to have the races in the United States, cancelled, especially given that United States is now one of the fastest growing markets for Formula One. So from a commercial point of view, I do not expect the races to be cancelled. Probably that would be F1, sort of losing a lot of money, which is probably not a very good financial or even business decision to make for Formula One. And of course, that kind of decision making, of course, raises other moral questions as to whether decisions are only made, where probably money is involved, and certain decision made where money is not involved. So probably this is not necessarily a commercial decision for Formula One. It would be more from an angle of whether it's a human moral kind of a thing. And I'm not sure that Formula One would be making those kind of decisions anytime soon, but maybe they might surprise that. I would want to hear what you have to say about this, your opinion, your perspective, whether it makes sense, or even maybe if it doesn't make sense. Tell it to me in the comments section below. This is going to be it from me on this particular video, and I'm actually looking forward to your comment or your opinion in the comment section below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not, and I'm going to see you in my next video as we look forward to the upcoming races in 2026.